The Zelda cast is getting even bigger. Join us on patreon.com/spnet for access to the Zelda Cast XL, the new bonus show featuring podcasting's dynamic duo, Andy Spiteri and Gooey Fame.
We're taking a new approach to do our bonus shows and giving you more of what you love, letting you get more involved in the show itself. Each month, we'll have some fun and play a few games, answer some Patreon questions, and discuss some Zelda topics on a more personal level.
Consider joining for only $4 a month, and you can ask us questions about Zelda or anything else on your mind. Let us know what topics and segments you want us to discuss, and be a part of an amazing community of Zelda fans hosted by two best friends.
The ZeldaCast XL is taking everything you love about the show and ramping it up even more. So come and hang out with us, only on patreon.com/spnet.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, and I am joined by no one this week. That is right, as we said at the end of last week's episode, due to the holiday, which, by the way, I actually found out is only a holiday in Canada this weekend, but we have an upcoming holiday in the States for this weekend, so go figure. But nevertheless, because of the holiday, Doom and I weren't able to go ahead and get together and record a new episode, but as promised, we are going to be releasing a episode for everybody today. And actually, what we did was we had a little impromptu Discord poll last night where I actually asked people like what bonus episode they wanted to see. I threw out a couple options. So one of the options is my top 15 SNES games that aren't Super Metroid, the origins of OmegaMetroid.com, and then me, Dak, and Doom reviewing the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the new one, of course, that is. But what ultimately ended up being the winner, and it was a small poll, maybe about 25 votes or so, but what was the winner was another ROM hack review. This one is Super Metroid Federation Force, which is a very interesting concept and one that I thought, I guess I won't spoil much of the episode. We'll get into it there, but it was a cool concept that I would like to maybe see revisited in the future. But that's what we got on tap for this week. So please enjoy that episode, and all those other episodes I mentioned too, by the way, are available over on patreon.com/spnet for $1. That is right, $1 will get you access to all of those other shows. But for this week, please enjoy Super Metroid Federation Force. It was a very interesting game and a fun little hack too. So anybody looking for a little game to hold them over until Metroid Prime 4, you could do a lot worse in this game. Shout out to Metaquarius, the developer of this hack that put this together. So very good job. I'll leave you with my thoughts on Super Metroid Federation Force here. Hope that everyone has an awesome upcoming week and a long weekend if you get one there in the States and you enjoyed your long weekend if you're Canadian. And we will for sure see everybody back here next week as we inch closer and closer to the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. So everybody, take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye. What is up, Omega Metroid patrons, and welcome to another episode of ROM Hack Reviews. First and foremost, hope everyone had a good Christmas if you are celebrating. I hope that it was fun. And we're not quite at New Year's yet, but we're close. So I guess I should just say this episode was supposed to come out a little bit earlier, so I apologize for the tardiness of it. Without going into too much of a sob story, we had a couple different family members break some bones around this Christmas holiday, so it's been a little bit all over the place, kind of going back and forth and whatever, making sure everyone is okay. So it's been a weird holiday thus far, so I didn't get to play this game as quickly as I wanted to. But I did finally get to play it, and there is a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, there's a bit of ugly. And this is fitting because I think that you could say the same thing about the game that it was inspired from. So, without beating around the bush anymore, I of course am talking about Super Metroid Federation Force, which I was scrolling through, and I was like, all right, what should I cover this week, or this month rather? What should I cover? And I'm looking, and this game just like completely caught my eye, and I was like, oh my god, this looks like so awesome. And I was very, very excited to play it because, as we've talked about on the podcast before, it's not like it's not like the idea of Federation Force is awful. Like, I think like playing as Federation troopers or Marines or whoever would be like a very cool experience if it was done right. Like, there's a lot of like really kind of unique stories you could tell, unique gameplay. We did a couple episodes on like what a really, really rockin' Federation Force game would look like. And, unfortunately, I mean, as we all know, that's just not really what they were going for with Metroid Prime Federation Force. And the timing of the release was bad. The game was, let's just say, average at best. I think all of us could probably agree on that. So it was kind of a miss, right? Like, and some of it was circumstantial that I wouldn't necessarily blame Federation Force for. Like, I think it probably is a better game than people give it credit for, but at the same time, I do think that it's a very average game at best, with a lot of, like I said, good, bad, and ugly in there. So when I saw this game, Super Metroid Federation Force, I was like very excited because I think that the concept is pretty cool. And I think if you take that concept and you put it onto like a good Metroid game, then you might have like a recipe for a pretty good game, or a pretty good ROM hack in this scenario. But I don't know, maybe there's just a curse with the Federation Force branding or Federation Force name, because I was very excited to play this. And as I started playing it a little bit more, I got a little bit less and less excited, a little bit more and more frustrated. And I think now I'm at the point where I might say that this one was, unfortunately, maybe the worst ROM hack review or ROM hack game that I've played so far in this series thus far. And I don't say that lightly, but it was a very frustrating experience. So yeah, let's dive right into it here. So it's a very different kind of ROM hack right away. So it's under the genre of spoof. And it certainly is like, there's a lot of like fun gimmicks and stuff like that, but it does look like pretty, I don't know, it looks like pretty legit when you fire it up and everything like that. And the first thing that I noticed like instantly right away is like how actually awesome that the game looks. Like the sprites are awesome, the concept is awesome, the title screen is great. It's just like, it looks very, very cool. But I very quickly found out that it was a very different kind of hack. And what I mean by that is like, this almost was like a demo rather than a full-fledged like hack. And like, because there's no bosses, there's not really any different areas, there's not really a lot of the abilities that you would expect. And like, there's some stuff which I'll talk about later that's just kind of like, I think it's supposed to be cute, but it to me, it was just like kind of annoying at the time after investing a couple hours into this game. So like, I don't even have like an ending time that I would usually get, right? Like with completion and completion percentage and time spent or whatever. I would guesstimate I probably spent about 2-3 hours with this game. However, a lot of that was probably frustrating time, like not the kind of time that you really want to be spending with a Metroid ROM hack. So let's just dive right into this hack. So Super Metroid Federation Force is made by Metaquarius, who I believe actually we've done some other of his hacks on the show before, but now I can't think of any off the top of my head. But so Metaquarius made this, and like I said, the whole thing starts off and it looks awesome. Like the first of all, like the concept is cool. Like I said, the title screen is very cool. It's very simple. It's like the Super Metroid logo with the Federation Force logo, but it's got those three troopers from Metroid Prime 2, and it looks very, very cool. And at the bottom it says like you have to pay $99 to unlock the whole game. And I thought it was like kind of like a ha 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 moment, but we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But like you start the game, and man, the sprite for the Federation Trooper looks fantastic. I thought that it honestly looked so great, and Samus's sprite looks, or excuse me, Samus's ship looks great. The it's like a different color. It's like blue instead of the classic yellow that we know. Of course, the trooper is blue as well. It like the trooper has kind of an arm cannon, but kind of not really an arm cannon as well. It looks like Samus, but it's very distinctive, and that it looks very, very impressive. And so when I downloaded this, I actually downloaded it. Funny enough, like probably the beginning of December, and had kind of bookmarked a weekend in order to play it. So I started, I got everything ready. I got the ROM patched, everything like that. And I was covering the Game Awards for Zelda Dungeon, and the show was going on and on and on and on and on. And that's actually, it was so long and so boring. I actually started playing Super Metroid Federation Force during the Game Awards. So I was kind of playing a little bit, but half kind of paying attention to the Game Awards, half paying attention to my game. And, I would say that things started off pretty well. So you start off in a world that it's basically Criteria. It's like very rocky, very, it's got a lot of the same kind of topography and stuff like that as Criteria, and you go on and you explore a little bit, and everything's pretty fine. There's not really a whole lot of stuff going on. Like there's some enemies, but not very much. And so after about like half an hour, I was like, okay, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to pay attention to the Game Awards. And I walked away feeling pretty good. And I was like, okay, when this weekend that I bookmarked to play this game comes up, we're going to continue on. It's going to be fun. And like, we're having a good time so far. And so when I fired it back up, I started playing again. And then the problems kind of set in, which first of all, I should say, I don't know if this is just me, but I kind of think that like when I hear the word spoof, that to me kind of implies like maybe a more, I don't know, I don't want to say easy, but like a more approachable experience. But man, this game is incredibly difficult, like incredibly difficult. You take massive damage from everything in this game. So there's a lot of lava, there's space pirates everywhere. There is lots of things that you can take damage from, and you take massive damage. Like when I think of taking big time damage, I probably think of Metroid Fusion as a game where if you get hit, you take a lot of damage right away, and your energy tanks can deplete fairly quickly. This game is like significantly worse than Metroid Fusion. Like if you get hit by a space pirate, it's almost a full energy tank that disappears. So it's very hard. But I was like, okay, you know what? That's fine. So I'm playing through, and the game is definitely hard. You take a ton of damage, and I'm like, okay, like this is fine so far. Like this isn't that bad. But you keep on going, and then you kind of realize that like, okay, well, it looks like I'm stuck here, and like I said, the map isn't very big. Like the entire game is probably the area of Criteria. Basically, there's not really a whole lot else. There's a little bit else, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but there's not really a whole lot else for you to sink your teeth into. So, a couple of weeks ago when I guess this was last month now, excuse me, I was doing the Spiteri show, and Daniel had asked me like, hey, I'd be interested to hear your opinion on what makes a good Metroidvania game. And I think that one of the answers that I gave was like, each new item that you acquire should unlock like several different passageways so that you can feel rewarded when you go to each, area. So even if you can't progress, you've got something for your troubles, whether it was a missile expansion, whether it was an energy tank, etc., etc., etc. This game did not listen to that episode, I'll tell you that. It did not It did not listen to that episode at all. And the frustrating thing about this game, which I mean, to be fair as well, if you go to Metroid Construction and you're looking for this hack, it does say that it is an expert difficulty. However, like I think that you can be an expert difficulty game and not kind of go down the route that this game does, which is unfortunately there's one path that you have to take. So like you have to get all of your items in a very specific order, which again, I feel like that's fine, but because the map is so small, there's really only like it's funny because you would think with a smaller map there would be less places for you to get stuck or less places for you to get lost, but I kind of found the opposite where like the map is so small that like you really only have like one specific place that you can go to advance, which you don't always keep track of in this game. Whereas like if you have a really big map, let's just say Metroid Dread, for example, you get the grapple beam and now you can go to countless places on the map and you can get more power-ups to make you stronger. You can go advance the story to get you further, etc., right? So like in this game, there's not really that option. It's really honestly just like, okay, so you get the bombs, great. Then you have to go and get the grapple beam next, great. Once you get the grapple beam, you have to go and get the plasma beam next, great. And you can only follow like the exact set patterns to the exact set rooms that you go into when you're trying to get this stuff. So it's very, very difficult and kind of frustrating in a little bit of a way because it's just like, I don't know. To me, it wasn't as fun or it wasn't as rewarding because the map was small. There were fewer and fewer expansions to pick up. Although there were a few. There were definitely a lot of missile expansions, some super missile expansions, a couple energy tanks. But like, it's not like there was an abundance of them kicking around. So like, if you went the wrong way, if you did the wrong thing, you're just kind of stuck and you got to go back and you got to backtrack, or you have to load up your last save state, whatever. The point is that you're not really rewarded for exploring in the way that you should be. And which, I mean, I guess like there's not really much to explore either. So in a way, I guess that makes sense because I don't know if their goal is to have you play it over and over and over again, kind of repeatedly, but it didn't really work for me, the way that this game was laid out. Like I do like at least a little bit of, I don't know, of an option to see like, okay, like now that I've got the power bombs, like there's 3 places I can check out. Each one will have something for me. I want to go there and get all of them before I progress through the story. Where this one, let's just say that there were a couple places you could check out. 2 of them were dead ends. One of them would get you somewhere, and then but barely somewhere because then you'd need to go and find the next item to help you further along. So I kind of feel like the pacing was grinded to a halt a bunch of different times, and it was just like every time you gained an inch, it was like, okay, well, like actually you have to go and find another expansion right now. So it wasn't my cup of tea. And there's a lot of areas in this game too that are like needlessly hard. And when I'm talking about difficulty, like I think that there's good difficulty and there's bad difficulty. So like good difficulty would be something that you can learn from, you can improve from. You like when you die or when you lose, you're kind of just like, okay, this was my fault because I didn't react the right way. I wasn't fast enough with my inputs. You know what I mean? Like the Ravenbeak fight is a good example of that, where like you can beat Ravenbeak without taking a hit, but the first couple times that you're going to fight him, it's very hard because he moves so fast, he has so many attacks, but slowly as you do it, you're just like, okay, like I'm learning, I'm getting better. That I feel like is good difficulty. Bad difficulty is what I would call artificial difficulty, where it's just like poor level design or things that it's just seem kind of like unfair. Like, okay, like you've beat a boss, great, the boss is going to completely heal himself up now or whatever. And there was a bunch of that in this game as well. Specifically, there was a room right before that you got the speed boost where you're walking, and like the entire floor was pitfall blocks, and then below the pitfall blocks was lava. So basically, you would have to walk and like fall into lava, jump up further as far as you can, and then kind of proceed. There's no X-ray visor, so if there were any like legitimate blocks that weren't pitfall blocks, you couldn't see them. So essentially you had to take like massive amounts of damage in order to proceed, which since this game doesn't give you a lot of energy tanks, it was just kind of like, really? Like, is this really how I'm supposed to do this? And I think there's a difference between like a game saying to you like, if you want, you can take a bunch of damage and get like an extra reward early, or maybe when you're not supposed to. But when a game is telling you like, yeah, you have to take like a shitload of damage to get this power up that you need, and you can't advance anywhere on this map without it. So like, good luck. I was just kind of like, really? Like, that's kind of bullshit a little bit. But like, there's another area as well where you go and there's like a little aquatic area, and there's some more pitfall blocks, and it's very tight, so you don't have a lot of room to jump. And so if you hit the pitfall block, you fall in water, and there's spikes underneath you, and it's just deep enough that without the gravity suit, you can't jump out. So you could be at absolute full health, fall into this stupid little trap, and wait like a full minute for this spike to kill you because you can't get out, because you can't jump, and you can't bomb, and you can't do anything. So there was a lot of shit like that in this game where it's just like, it was quite frustrating, which, I don't know, again, like, it's not like the original Federation Force was all that difficult or all that frustrating, so maybe they were going for like the exact opposite of what that game was going for. I don't really know, but it definitely made me want to pull my hair out at certain points in the game. All right, so like I said, there's not really a whole lot of other areas. There's the Criteria area, which does have a little bit of like a Norfair-y kind of section to it, where there's a bunch of lava, there's a bunch of fire. And then the other section in the game, the one that I just alluded to with the spikes in the water and stuff like that, is, I don't know, kind of like a proto-Meridia, I guess, although it looks more so like Torian. So it's very, very, very small. You essentially just go down there in order to get the grapple beam, and then you come back up, and you basically never have to go there again, which is a little bit disappointing, because the stupid traps outside, like, the area was fairly cool, and there was like, that was hard, but it was almost like good hard, because there were a bunch of grapple points like all over the place, and like the sideways grapple points that you can jump from, and like that one, at least when I fell, I was like, okay, it's not like that bad, or at least I'm taking damage because I know that I didn't like do something properly. So there's not really much in the way of a story for this game. I think the story is supposed to be that like Anthony Higgs was captured or something like that, and your mission is to bring him to safety. But there's nothing really like in the game that has any kind of story at all. You're just like a trooper who's on the planet, and that's just kind of it. So there's nothing really story-wise to keep you going. This game has like, I don't know, it has all like the regular Metroid items, which I get because it's a Super Metroid hack, but it would have been kind of cool to like have I don't know, something different, or like some kind of differentiating factor for the items to make it feel like this is a I don't know, like a Federation Force quote unquote game, rather than just kind of like a reskin of Super Metroid. But I mean, you have all your basics there. You've got your grapple, you've got your power bombs, you've got your speed boost, you've got your wave beam, and like I said, like there is a very direct path that takes you to each and every one of them. So there's not really like a whole lot of playing around or wiggle room that you can get with them, unfortunately. Enemy diversity as well, I would say, is something that was somewhat lacking. I would say 70% of the enemies that you're going to see in this game are space pirates, and then there are some Super Metroid critters that you'll find around. Actually, there were the animals that were in one locked room, but there's no way to get them out, so they just stay there. The Edecoons and Takoras, so hopefully one day they'll make it out of that room. But that was another thing that was just kind of like a little bit of a bummer. I will say probably the funniest thing in this game is, and maybe this isn't funny, it might actually bring people PTSD, but so you get to a room and it's full of space pirates, and all of a sudden you see, or you hear, like, use of plasma beam has been authorized, and it's just like, oh my god, So they kind of brought back that gimmick from Other M, and you do get your plasma beam that way, which is kind of funny. But it did bring back some horrible memories. Speaking of Other M, actually, so this game is called Super Metroid Federation Force, but I think it's clearly more so a dig at Other M, just with like all of the the nods to Anthony. The even the description of the game is basically making fun of Other M, where it's just like, any objections, lady, use of blast ball is authorized, features incredible voice acting, chibi cutscenes, PTSD. It is kind of funny, but at the same time, the joke kind of gets old a little bit quick, especially because every single time you get a power up, you hear Anthony Higgs just be like, "Remember me?" Which is kind of funny the first time or two that you hear it, but then like hearing it as often as you do, which is funny because there's not even that many power-ups for you to get, but it just feels like, oh, I'm hearing this again and again and again. I was just like, ugh. So that was a thing in this game. There's also a bunch of Anthony artwork around everywhere. I posted a picture of what I mean in the Patreon channel, and again, it's kind of funny. It's like, you can see the pictures of Anthony or whatever, but it's a little bit too on the nose, so it wears off its welcome pretty quickly. I will say that this game does have some original music, so I do want to give a shout out, credit where credit is due. So it does have some original music, so that's kind of cool. Although the original music is like, it's like remixes of Metroid songs. So it is original music, but it's not like original in a way that sounds distinctive necessarily. It's just like, hey, this is a remix of like the Metroid NES theme. So, but I mean, hey, credit where credit is due. At least it helps it stick out and stand out a little bit rather than just like recycling all of the, all of the Super Metroid music. So, give it some credit. Like really, I don't know, the game. The game, like, I really have a hard time, like, kind of dumping on these ROM hack games, because I know that they're so difficult to make, and I know that, I could never do it, but there were a bunch of other things, too, in this game that really just kind of drove me nuts. Specifically, I would say that I think that the map system in Super Metroid definitely shows its age. It's 30 years old at this point, and there's just, like, some frustrating things. I've complained about them before, but, like, not being able to see other areas on your map is like, I can't stand that. But what I thought was confusing in this game, more so than a lot of other games, and it probably goes, or a lot of other hacks rather, and it probably goes back to the fact that like the area is so small and it feels worse than it is. But one thing that I was kind of struggling with this game is like, the way that they would show you where items are on the map. So Super Metroid will show you a dot on the map, and that means that an item is there, but it doesn't really differentiate whether you've got the item or whether the item is there. They wouldn't start to do that until Metroid Fusion in 2002, where, you would see the circle, and then once you got the item, it turned into a dot, and that worked out really well. Super Metroid, unfortunately, does not have that. So in this game in particular, there was just like so many dots. Even like I said, there wasn't that many expansions, but because the map area was so small, it felt like there were. So, and the dots were just kind of all over the place, and so it was just like, did I get this? Did I not get this? Like, I'm not really sure. So, especially with all like the kind of backtracking and stuff that you're doing, it was just kind of like, God, I wish there was a way that I could just like not have this dot on my map or something like that. So, I mean, that's really an issue with like the original Super Metroid map versus this hack in particular. But I do think that for such a small area, maybe there could have been less power-ups, or like maybe, you get a missile power-up and it's worth 30 missiles like it was in Spooky Mission. I'm not really sure, but I know that it didn't really work. But the coup de grace of this whole experience that just like very much ended it on a sour taste was after I finally went and I did the exact path of, getting each item in the exact order that it's supposed to be, and didn't delve from the trail at all. I did it exactly the way that this game forced me to do it. I died multiple times trying to get the stupid speed boost and get all the other stupid things that you need. After I did all of that, I go up to the top left corner and I'm thinking like, wow, there's a new area over there. I can't wait to get out of this criteria looking space. And so I go into that room and it's the Ridley room. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're fighting Ridley. And so Ridley swoops down, but then the weirdest thing starts to happen. Your health starts to rapidly decrease for no reason. So I'm thinking to myself like, what? Why is this happening? And so I restarted and I went to the Ridley room again and my health just started plummeting again. And I'm just like, okay. And so a little message flashes and it's like, you can only fight Ridley with 99 health or something like that. And I was like, whatever. Like, I'm pretty sure I could beat Ridley with 99 health. That's fine. So I start to fight Ridley, get a few super missile shots in or whatever. And after about 30 seconds or so, the game freezes and says, like, you have to pay $99 to unlock the whole version. The trial demo or whatever is over. And I'm like, I'm kind of thinking, like, that's funny. That's haha. So I'm thinking back to that stupid title screen. It's like pay $99 to unlock full game, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. And I'm thinking like, there's got to be a way that you can like beat Ridley and beat this game, and maybe there is, but I never found it because I did this 3 separate times, and each time it just like kicked me out, and that was the game. And it was like there wasn't anything else that you could do. There wasn't anything else for you to see. All the expansions were acquired. So it was just kind of like a sour taste in my mouth because I was like, I finally sludged through all these stupid areas and all these stupid like scenarios that you forced me to go into, and I don't even get a payoff. Like I don't get a final boss, I don't get credits, I don't get nothing. So I was a little bit put off by I was already put off at this point, to be fair. I was pretty frustrated. I'm pretty sure Samantha wanted to strangle me because she could hear me cursing from upstairs. But this was just kind of the icing on the cake where I was like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, I couldn't go and recommend that any of you guys go and play this hack. There's so many better hacks to play. And granted, yes, this hack was supposed to be like a spoof. It was supposed to, it is difficult. It said it was difficult. But I don't know. Like, I think that like, again, maybe this is just my expectations, but like, I think that the concept of Federation Force is cool, and like, it would be nice to see like a cool game of this concept. And I was hoping that maybe this could be it, but it was just a little bit too goofy, a little bit too short, a little bit too like unfinished, essentially, basically. And obviously this game is unfinished. Like it was a demo, it was a trial demo that was probably for a Metroid construction contest, which fair enough. But I have to say, I was very disappointed. It's probably the worst hack that I've played so far because it didn't really feel like a full game. And I think I was extra disappointed again because like I was like, that's 2 Federation Force titles now that I've kind of wanted to be good, but have just stunk up the joint a little bit. And I feel like that's too bad because it has a lot of potential. Like I said, there are a lot of positives for this. Like I think that the sprite looks awesome. I think that the world looks great, but it just didn't work, which was too bad. So it was unfortunately not my cup of tea in terms of gameplay, not my cup of tea in terms of pacing or layout or, really anything, to be honest with you. I was very disappointed with this. And, I wish I even had more to say about the game. Like, I feel like I don't really have much more to add, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, it was bound to happen. I've played some hacks that I wasn't exactly over the moon with, but nothing that I would say was full on bad or not good. And I don't think that I could say that this game was good. Like, I think I would have to say that it's bad, which is too bad because I did really want to enjoy it, but alas, I did not. So yeah, this was by Metaquarius, who has made a ton of like really awesome hacks other than this. So if you're, don't judge just based on one hack. And also, I do want to give a shout out as well. I know that this is not, it's not easy to make games, right? Like to make hacks, anything like that. So, not trying to dump on anyone, but this was not my favorite one. So yeah, there it is. Super Metroid Federation Force unfortunately continues the curse of the Federation Force branding. But hey, at least we got to have a little bit of fun chatting about it. So there you go. That must be worth something. I just want to quickly reflect too, just on the year of 2022. It's about to end, and I really want to again express that I'm very thankful, and I'm very a lot of gratitude in me for the way that this year has been going for Omega Metroid, and for me. When we started this, it was just a podcast, and it's morphed into something completely different than what the original intention was, and I think that it's awesome. And 2022 was kind of the year that it all came together, and like the actual site was finished and built and came together and was a viable thing that we could see and touch and taste. And it's a little bit surreal to think about looking backwards. And this is gonna sound cheesy as hell, but like honestly, like we made so many good friends along the way too, that this year was just it was a great year for me. I think it was a great year for Metroid, and it was certainly a great year for Omega Metroid. So we're gonna keep that rocking and rolling going into the new year. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. If you have a ROM hack game you want me to check out, let me know, and I will. I'm always open to taking recommendations. I know I said this a few months ago, but I think I'm actually going to do it. I want to try Zelda ROM hack one of these days and just see kind of what those are all about too. So maybe that'll be coming down in the next couple months. But yeah, I'm going to sign out of here. I hope that everyone has an awesome new year, a safe new year, and a fun new year. And let's keep this awesome Metroid energy going into 2023. Until next month, everybody, take care.